Hey everybody, welcome back to another video in this Internet Basics section of the course. We're going to be going over our last part today, which is a lab exercise. And as always, the resources for this are found in the video description below, and I encourage you to go and download them, try this lab out for yourself, and then come back and see if you got the answer correct. So let's hop into it. So here's the lab. First it says drag two desktop computers onto the screen below and connect them with a crossover cable. Alright, if we look down here in Packet Tracer, got all these options. Go ahead and click on this one that says End Devices. In here we see we've got all these. We're going to click the one that looks like a desktop computer. Go ahead and put two of those out here on the screen. And we need to connect them with a crossover cable. So if we grab this one, it says Connections. Gives us all our different cables. You can go ahead and research what all these different cables would be used for. We're going to choose a crossover cable because we're connecting to two devices that are the same. If the two devices were different, like a computer to a switch, we'd use a straight through cable. Let's grab that cable, click on the first computer. Okay, we're going to hook it up to this fast Ethernet 0. That's the one that looks like an internet connection or a Ethernet connection. Go ahead and click over here on the next computer, hook it up to the same port. So we've done that. Alright, let's hop over here into our tasks now. First task says subdivide the following network into 8 equally sized subnets. The network is 1.1.1.0/24. Alright, so it says we're looking for subnets. We're trying to get 8 of them. There's an equation that we learned to figure this out, and that was that subnets are equal to 2 to the n, where n is equal to the number of host bits that we borrow for our subnet mask. Okay, so 2 to what is going to get us that 8? Well, 2 to the third, right? That means we're going to need to borrow 3 host bits. Let's go ahead and write out our subnet mask in binary really quick. So we'd have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then 8 host bits. And we got our 24 network bits and our 8 host bits. So we decided we need to borrow 3 of those host bits. So let's grab this. Let's go ahead and change these 3 bits into network bits. Alright, so we were to go ahead and count the number of ones that we've got now. That gives us a new mask of /27. Go ahead and mark that down. Okay, so after we've used the equation to figure out our new mask, we need to figure out our increment, right? Well, our increment is going to be equal to the bit value of the last one that's on in the subnet mask. We know that our bit values starting from right to left is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. Okay, so it looks like our increment's going to be 32. Let's go ahead and write that down. Increment equals 32. Okay, perfect. So we've got our new subnet mask that'll give us 8 equally sized subnets. We've got our increment of 32. So we could go ahead and figure out what each of these subnets is going to be. Go ahead and think about this and write that down. So our first subnet is going to start at the beginning, obviously, at that 1.1.1.0. And it's going to be a /27. Our next subnet would be 32 above that because that's our increment. So it would be 1.1.1.32/27. The next one should be 1.1.1.64/27. Our next one would be 1.1.1.96/27. Then 1.1.1.128/27. Then 1.1.1.160/27. 1.1.1.192/27. and 1.1.1.224/27. Alright, put that where we can see it. That gives us our 8 equal subnets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It did. Let's go ahead and double check that those are the same subnets that we were supposed to find with our answers right here. And yep, sure enough, those are the same. So we got that right. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to task number 2. Task number 2 says assign the first and last usable IP addresses in the second of the newly created subnets to the PCs, and then do a ping test between them. If they're in the same network and the subnet mask is correct, this will succeed. Alright, so our second subnet that we made is 1.1.1.32. Let's go ahead and write that down over here. So we're working with our network of 1.1.1.32, right, /27. And we want the first and last usable IP addresses. Remember, there's 2 unusable IP addresses in every network. The network ID, which is the first one, so this 1.1.1.32, that's not usable. And then the broadcast, which is the very last one. How do we know the last IP address in the network? Well, we look at the network that comes after it, and we subtract 1, right? So 1.1.1.64 is where the next network starts. So our last IP in this network must be .63. We can't use that one because that's the broadcast, so we got to go one more to .62. So let's go ahead and let's write down these 2 IP addresses. So the first one, 1.1.1.33, because we can't use 32 because that's the network ID. And then the last one, 1.1.1.62, because we can't use 63 because that's the broadcast. Now we've got our 2 IP addresses that we're going to put on our PCs. Let's go ahead and do that. We hop into these PCs, we click on the desktop portion, IP configuration. You can see we can give it an IP address. So let's go ahead and assign this that 1.1.1.33. Our subnet mask, remember, was a /27. If we convert that back to decimal, would be 255.255.255.224. We won't worry about any of the other settings for now. Go ahead and exit out of that computer. Hop into the next one, desktop, IP configuration. Give it the next one, 1.1.1.62. Same subnet mask of 255.255.255.2224. Alright, go ahead and exit out of that. Then let's go ahead and do a ping test. So we can hop back into either of these computers, into the command prompt, and we're doing a ping test. So essentially all you're going to do is you're going to say ping and then the IP address that you want to ping or want to check and see if it can receive your message. So we'll do 1.1.1.62, which is that other computer. And look at that, we're getting replies back, which means that it has succeeded. So awesome. Looks like we've done that correctly. I hope that you guys had fun during this lab, and I hope you can see the usefulness of being able to subnet and assign IP addresses to get devices to be able to communicate with each other over the internet. Make sure you stick around. Up next, we'll go ahead and we'll be hopping into basic switch configuration. So we're finally getting into some of these fun activities that we're going to have in this course.